there's a reason for that not to exceed, which I want to touch on, as well as we're able to go in and really get to know the practice. And the importance of that is a developer brought this up to us who's doing a deal with us right now, and new construction, as you know, is out crazy.
It's
It's
crazy,
over the
yeah.
top. Interest rates, everything is making new construction much,
Untenable.
yeah, much harder to
Hmm.
achieve, right?
Yeah.
And the developer looked and said, well, I mean, they'll just have to make more revenue. I mean, it is what it is, and that's okay if you're an attorney or if you're a CPA or if you are in some business where you can say, each client equals this amount, and I can just build that
Change
more.
my rate.
Yeah, change my rate or up my client. Go recruit, get some more clients in. Physicians can't do that because they're going to be paid by reimbursement. Unless they are a cash paying concierge group, which those tend to be very small, those are not large groups, um, they are held by what they're going to get paid, regardless of how much they do. And that keeps going down every year. It doesn't increase. Our insurance companies and government funding doesn't say, hey, you've done a great job last year. Let me give you a little bit more for that surgery. No, each year it's coming down, as well as um, what is payable, right? Whether it's inpatient or outpatient or in office or out of office. So it's really important with physicians groups to know all of that information and to be able to be up to date with what is the market so that excuse me, when you are going into a property, you can prepare for that. What ancillary services that you might could bring in that would help this, because a new build is all that they can do, or they really do need the 100,000 square foot renovation. So it's it's just a lot more convoluted than your typical, I guess, business, if
Yeah,
you
we've
will.
been told as recently as this year, as January of this year, that the physician pay metric is
Mhm.
at 1990 levels.
Jeez.
Wow.
So while everybody else has moved decently along with consumer price index and the general economy, physicians are stuck at 1990 pay levels. If you looked at what they were making in 90 to what they're making now, and that's the hard reality. So they aren't making more. They're being pressed on all sides. And so when it comes to a real estate deal, having a group who gets that, who understands how you get paid, um, it just,
That's not one.
it matters to be able to put that in a bigger picture and understand that real estate can absolutely become an anchor on their practice. And we've watched it, send a couple of physicians into bankruptcy because of bad real estate decisions. And that's painful. It should never happen.
Shouldn't
Yeah.
happen.
So,
Yeah.
And it sounds so simple, right? Bring the what, the how, the why all into the equation when making those decisions. But you're absolutely correct in the normal sequence of things, right? It's I need a space like this. All right, let's go find it. But you
right.
guys taking a step back, saying, all right, do you really need this? That's great. It's great service to provide to physicians.
And there's so much to unpack with what you just said there, because and again, this is why I was really excited and looking forward to talking with you guys, because you do it from such a unique perspective, this
Hmm.
approach of let's look at the clinic and the practice as a whole, not just say, hey, we want to get a bigger space. Well, how did this all start? How did this, become or how did you notice there's a need for this, and kind of just take us through that? Because I'd love to understand just the process of, okay, like what was maybe the first time of you're looking at a deal with that physicians group and going, wait a minute, there is so much more to unpack here, and maybe you don't need that real estate, but let's look at your operations as a whole and figure out how we can help you there.
Right. Yeah. Great question. It was very specific. It came down to one deal, really, a cardiovascular group that we worked with years and years ago. My guess would have been in the 2010 9 or 10 range, kind of right in the beginning. And they came to us and said, we want to buy that piece of land and build a 25,000 square foot building. We need 25,000 square feet. And this was clearly in those times, this was pre-COVID. Money was still readily available. And so new construction compared to an existing facility has always been a bit of a disparity, but still affordable. You could still justify it. And they were just convinced that they wanted to be owners because owning real estate is the next evolution. It's my retirement. It's the thing that lets me know I've really made it. Everybody else owns their real estate. I don't want to throw rent away to this landlord anymore. I want to go build a building and own it. And so without our model in place, we went and took the same theory and the approach and said, wait a second. And over about a 4-month period, worked with their entire ownership group. So board, when they would have their executive committee meetings, we would go and sit in on those meetings and work them through. Here's what it means to go build. Here's what it means if you want to be the owner of that asset. For each one of you individually, the amount of cash that you will need. Here are the expectations of the performance of that cash over the long run. And all the while, you have the ability, I'm convinced you've got the ability to renegotiate where you are right now to maintain a level of occupancy cost here, this lower level of occupancy cost, right? And if you go build, you're at this higher level of occupancy cost. And so the delta between the two is X. Now, you're hampering the practice's performance with that delta, and you think that you're creating your retirement and lining your pockets, except that a group of 10 of you, 6 of the 10 are north of 60, right? So the what you think you're going to get out of it, I think that your next generation might, if you've got the right operating agreement and it gets passed down to your children, they'll see a real benefit out of it, but I'm not sure that you'll see the benefit that you think you will. And here are some alternative uses of that cash and the performance that you might receive on those alternative uses. Now, when you match that up against the lower occupancy cost of the practice, so you've got now a thriving practice that's got this cost of occupancy that's less than 5% of your gross revenue. So a really healthy practice, and you've got these alternative uses for your money. I would argue that that's probably a smarter investment decision. And at the end of 4 or 5 months, they all kind of looked at me and said, you know what? You're right. We've got no business doing that. And so they stayed exactly where they were.
Them out of the deal, essentially, of that new build.
Say again?
So essentially you talked them out of that new build. And while you were still a commercial real estate broker, essentially, no fee, no money.